Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm just double checking to make sure that I'm live. Are we live? Are we live? Is this working correctly? Can somebody drop me a comment in the chat just to make sure that I'm live? To me, it looks like I'm not live. Is this working correctly? Okay, we are live. We are live. Hi everyone. I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you guys have had a good day, a good week. I know it's been a bit difficult. I've not been around that much, and yesterday was a pretty quick episode as well. How's things going? How are you all doing? What's going on? Let's get the chat going. I want to see some people in the chat talking. I want to see how you guys are, how you guys are doing. Are you guys trading the market? Are you guys buying support, selling resistance? What are you guys up to? Got a few comments already in here. Elizabeth, thank you very much. Always joining the show. We've got Baswita. Good to see you, my friend. Phil, great to see you. Assad, great to see you, my bro. Jamwow, hello, you look great. It's working. Thank you very much. I'm sure you look great too. Great to see you, AM. Stephen, always good to see you, my friend. Always good to see you. Some of the real OGs in the chat. We got some real OGs in the chat. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. Me, I'm tuning in from Canada today, which is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. I like being in Canada. Canada's a really cool place to be. We are going to dive into Bitcoin in a moment. We'll just wait for a few people to turn up and then we'll dive straight into Bitcoin. I know you guys have seen the headline today as well. There's a few things I want to talk to you guys about today. We can't really avoid the news. We have to talk about the news today as well. There are things happening in the market which is changing things a little bit, especially like there's news around the merge and stuff as well. So we have to make sure that we are on point today. And obviously, I can see already in the chat, people are talking about the Solana hack. I don't actually have the latest info on the Solana hack, and I don't want to report on it without making sure that my info is sourced absolutely correctly. So maybe I'll talk about the Solana hack tomorrow. Today, we got to talk about Michael Saylor. We've got to talk about the Ethereum merge. There's stuff going on with the Ethereum merge, which is important. KAR Crypto, it's great to see you, my friend. Yes, Bitcoin is dumping. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. We're just waiting for everybody to get on board and settle in. Steven's tuning in from Belgium. That's very cool. Ostend. Very cool, man. And Cryptique, welcome to the show. It's great to see you, my friend. Signa tuning in from Istanbul. Merhaba, my bro. Merhaba. Alan tuning in from Madrid. Nice. And we've got Baswita from Norway and Phil from Canada. Amazing. I think it's okay. We can get on with the show now. I think we can get on with the show. So I guess the first thing that we need to talk about really and truly is Bitcoin. We got to talk about Bitcoin. Arkalianu, I see you there, my friend. Hi, good to see you, bro. Good to see you. Right, let's get into Bitcoin. There we go. Okie dokie. So we spoke about Bitcoin yesterday, okay? We spoke about Bitcoin. Arkalianu says, my GF Nika says hello. Hello, Nika. Hello, sister. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining the show. Appreciate you. Arkalianu always joins the show and he's always got lovely comments to say. Always learning, always doing his best. Thank you for joining the show. Michael Caffrey, good to see you, fam, as well. Right, we have to kick on with the show. Okie dokie. Right. So we spoke about Bitcoin yesterday. And let's just recap very quickly what we spoke about and how we were going to play it. Okay. So I said that this consolidation here on the left is what capped the market. I was in disagreement that the uptrend started from mid-June. I said that the uptrend kind of started from around mid-July. And the reason I said that was because this was the down move that pushed the market up and out of the range. Once we deviated back in the range, we got back in the range. It looked scary. It looked messed up. We pushed back up out of the range. Again, above this consolidation here, we tapped that 24K level. What is that 24K level? That 24K level is consolidation from December 2020. This was the consolidation that pushed the market to new all-time highs. Naturally, we were going to find resistance there. Excuse me. Now, yesterday I said I'm not going to change my idea, My trade plan was simple: a breakout of the range, hold as support here, I'm a buyer. Now I bought some Bitcoin yesterday, I bought some sand yesterday, I bought right at this support here, right on this line here, and I said, look, this is my plan. I know there is a potential to be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. My stop loss was below this green level here, which is a Monday's low from many weeks ago. It was from around, I think it was early July, that Monday's low. All right. And I kept it there because it has really and truly played a support and resistance. So it matters to me. All right. This is the messy chart of Bitcoin. So we are going to move on to a much cleaner chart in a moment where we can dissect that more. Let me just double check to make sure, because I haven't got monitors here. I want to make sure that we're still live and we're still good to go. Guys, occasionally do me a favor, right? Drop me a comment here and there whenever you can, just to make sure that we're still live and we're still good to go. All right. Mick says, nice hair in the last two shows, mate. Thank you very much. Marius, it's good to see you. Timothy, good to see you. And Sahil, good to see you. Sorry, I have to keep checking that we're live. Apologies for that. Right. So again, now we are at support. Now there's a few things that I want to say on this matter here. Of course, we have to look at the Nasdaq. Of course, we have to look at the S&P. Of course, we have to look at other markets as well to make sure that, we're not just looking at Bitcoin and we're not just longing a pattern. All right. If you guys have been watching my show over the last couple of weeks, you guys will know that I have rules for longing and rules for shorting. In order for me to take a long, I need to have maybe 4 to 5 points where I say, these are the reasons I'm going long. At the same time, if I'm going short, it's the same thing. I need around 5 reasons, okay? And I'm sure that you guys do the same thing, right? Now, this is what bugs me, all right? This is what bugs me. We are at support. However, in hindsight, if we did something like this, in hindsight, that would look great, but we'd have missed the move. All right. It would have been simple. Everyone would have said, well, all right, look, bro, clearly we were making higher lows. We broke out of a range. Clearly, this was obvious and easy buy. That's number one. All right. So we have to take into consideration that hindsight is not our friend right now, because the move will be quick if it happens. Now, number two, when we look at the ES later, we're going to see that a small move from the ES has caused Bitcoin to drop quite quickly. A very small move from the ES. Okay, so we're going to need to make sure we understand that as well, and how that is affecting the plays that we're playing right now. Ultimately, what it looks to me as though is we're kind of chopping a little bit here. All right, it's kind of unclear. We've got major support right here. For me, this is major support. We've been talking about this support on this stream for weeks. We can't ignore that. Okay, even if we was to smash through it, later on, if price was to start coming back up, we'd class this as major resistance, wouldn't we? So we have to mark it as major support. We can't ignore that. And I refuse to ignore that as well. Of course, we have this resistance here, this 24K resistance here. So yeah, yesterday on the stream, what did I say on the stream yesterday? For those of you who paid attention fully, I said on the stream yesterday when we were sort of around up here, I said now is not the time to long. I said the plans for longing were simple. Either we come back to support here and we form some bullish price action, or we get back above this 24K level, hold above, and then we can start targeting higher levels. All right. So it was a good thing that nobody went long yesterday. Now, interestingly enough, we're back at support. Okay. Now we need to see some bullish price action in order for me to say that this support is holding. Now, what are we seeing here in terms of bullish price action? I'll be honest, I'm not seeing it. Okay. I'm not seeing it. The bullish price action isn't there. Of course, that can always change. Maybe if we go into the 1 hour time frame, for instance, and maybe if we do something along the lines of this. Then, of course, we'll get on board somewhere around here. Okay. But ultimately, price hasn't done that yet. At the moment, the way price is falling, it's kind of giving me, this kind of vibe right here, where it looks like it's going to keep going lower and we don't know where it's going to stop. We need something like this in order for me to say, all right, let's get long. Okay. Now, you guys know that I did buy some sand yesterday. I did buy some Bitcoin yesterday. I've now cut those positions in a very, very tiny profit. And the reason I've done that is because I'm preparing once again to buy support. We're going to go into detail as to why I did that. Okay. And after this show, I will update my Telegram as well to explain to you guys in a very brief fashion why I did that. Right. As much as we are at support, I need to see that bullish price action. So once again, if I'm to show you here, let me get my tool out. This one here. Again, look, I want to see something along the lines of this, okay? If I can see something like that, then to me it will look like support is holding. All right. In the meantime, we've got to say to ourselves, all right, if support doesn't hold here, what is my next plan for Bitcoin? Let's say, for instance, support breaks here. Does that mean we're stopped out and that's it? Does that mean the trades are over? No, it doesn't mean that. It means that we move on to the next chart of Bitcoin where we mark out our next plan. Okay. Now, yesterday I mentioned in the Telegram group, I mentioned that 21,600 was the absolute line in the sand for me. And we're going to go over that today, all right? If you're not following the Telegram channel, I would advise that you do so. It's the first link in the description below. You don't want to miss out. I'm always dropping voice notes in there. I'm always updating people in there. I'm always I'm always trying to connect with you guys a bit more in the Telegram. I like to keep things different: Twitter, Telegram, YouTube. All right. And yeah, I'm seeing a lot of beautiful comments in here as well. Hello, Vinny. Hello, AM. Hello, AA. Hello, Joel. Good to see you, my brother. And hello, Sahil. Guys, definitely, I love what you guys are saying in the chat. Definitely smash up the likes. Let's get the likes. Yesterday was the first video in a long time that we've done where we didn't get over 100 likes. And, it's part of the game. It's part of the YouTube game. It's fine. But it would be nice to get back in the momentum and get those likes going again. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't already, like the video. So going back to this range here for Bitcoin, you guys will see I had a plan here. I had two plans, all right, for this particular range. I said plan number one, all right, and this was around 3 streams ago. So if you guys want to check that, I said plan number one would be if Bitcoin broke below the range high one more time, deviated above, okay? Do whatever deviation it wants to do here, get back above, and at least now we have a clearer invalidation. Okay, that was plan number one. So at the moment, you could argue it's still following plan number one, but we're going to break it. We're going to break that down a bit more as we go on. Plan number two was, of course, break above the 24K level, which was the consolidation from 2020. Break above that, and we can go long. Now, notice here that I didn't go short. So if you guys look here, right, when we deviated this consolidation here, right, and we broke down and we actually showed signs of breaking down, notice I didn't go short. And the reason I didn't go short was because everything that I'm looking at looks like a mini uptrend. So again, this is a learning tool for you guys, all right? When you're identifying price, it's all good to mark out support and resistance. It's all good to mark out your ranges, your Fibonacci's, your trend lines, and so forth. But one of the first questions you got to ask yourself is, number one, where is price capped within? And number two, what trend are we in? Okay. Now, if we are in a macro downtrend, fine, that's cool. When you say the word macro, you're going to be looking at time frames like the weekly, like the monthly, like the daily. Okay. And when you're talking about a short-term bias, you can look at things like the 1 hour, the 30 minutes, the 15 minutes time frame. Okay. So in this particular instance, I'm looking at the hourly, I'm looking at the 4 hourly. For me, in this slower time frame, we are in an uptrend. All right. Until we break these lows here, until we break below 21,600 and we hold below it and we start showing signs of a breakdown, that's when the daddy short comes. And to give you some context on that, we've got resistance, and now I don't know, is this all creating one big deviation? We don't know yet. We don't know. We can't assume that. But what we do know is that the resistance that played out at 21,600 in the past, that's the resistance that we really need to pay attention to. Either it comes back as support. I tell you now, if price comes at 21,600, I'm a buyer. Okay, unless we just nuke through it in one straight line, I'm a buyer at 21,600. And the reason for that is because, again, of the support and resistance I showed you guys before. This level really capped the market for a long time. Okay, it did for like maybe more than a month. It did. All right. Now, this deviation that we had here really pushed the market up. This deviation here sent the market to new highs from the range that initially started here. Make sense? So there are multiple ways to play it, but I'm not looking for shorts at the moment because we're in a short-term uptrend. If we're in a short-term uptrend, then essentially think about it logically. As I mentioned just a moment ago, I said, what if Bitcoin is doing plan one, where it does whatever deviation it wants to do here, then gets back above, holds above here, and then pushes up. I'll essentially get chopped out of my shorts. Now, I know a lot of people took a short around here yesterday. I know a lot of people took a short yesterday here. And it was a really good short. And I know that you guys did well. I know that SC went short on Bitcoin yesterday. And you know what? SC is the king of price. Okay, he is. It's I never want you guys to think that this is political, or I never want you guys to think that this is me going against somebody. I'll never go against SC, and I'll never go against EXO. I'll never go against any of my bros. All right. Essentially speaking, I saw my own plan, and I wanted to follow my plan. And I did, and my plan hasn't been broken yet. We still haven't been stopped out on that original plan yet. So even if I didn't cut my positions yesterday, I'm still not stopped out. All right. And my stop is my invalidation. So that's the clean area. That's the area where if I get invalidated, maybe we're going to go lower. All right. So say, for instance, a lot of people went short here with a stop loss there. A lot of people would argue, well, if price comes here and takes out that stop, any sort of bullish price action that it does here will be an opportunity to long. Okay. It's the same way in the reverse. Now, where can Bitcoin go next? If 22,919 is major support for Bitcoin, we've now broken back inside of this range. What can we describe when looking at this? Well, number one, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy. The reason I'm not happy is because we've got two deviations now. Why is it deviating back in the range twice? And if it is deviating in the range twice, then where would I look to potentially buy Bitcoin? Would I be a buyer? Would I be looking to sell? Now that price is back in the range, maybe I need to consider the fact that Bitcoin is going to stay in the range, where we've distributed as much as we need to outside of the range, and maybe we're going to start looking at lower prices. At the same time, what if Bitcoin goes to 21,600 and forms a bullish pattern there, and it decides it wants to start going up from there? In hindsight, it would be so easy to look back on and say, well, hang on a second, this was easy. So we have to look at the most probable plans for Bitcoin. And the most probable plans that I have here is as follows. Number one, we're going to have to keep it level to level now. We can't target 28K anymore, not just straight away. And I'll explain how I'm thinking. Okay. So number one, if price wants to do whatever it wants to do in this area here, let it do whatever it wants to do. As soon as it can come back above and hold 22,900, maybe 23,000, we can start looking for a long only into 24,100. Okay. And the stop loss would be whatever deviation it made here. All right. That's number one. We have to wait for the confirmation. That's one plan. The second plan I have is, again, I'm not going to short the market because, again, I'm not confident in shorting an uptrend. Okay. Of course, we can play both sides of the market, but really and truly, I'd want it to get below 21,600 and hold below. That's when we can start looking for those proper shorts, shorts that we can take at any experience. So maybe if Bitcoin did something like this, that's another plan. And that's a plan that I think is very probable as well. That 21,600 level is a magnet. Okay. But there's one more plan after this, which I want to go through with you guys. And then we'll move on. Okay, so that's the second plan that I've got for Bitcoin. And no, I'm not just drawing lines. Okay, I'm not. We have the range high, which is here at 22,900. We've got the range low here at 17,654. The mid-range falls in at 20,286. However, if we go back to the mid-range, we are now breaking below all these lows that we've got here, and we've broken below that 21,600 level. Okay, so the mid-range is not something that I want to see. Now, if we was to come back to 21,600, any sort of deviation underneath that is fine. So we can have our invalidation. At the same time, you can use this as an invalidation here, this blue box here, and potentially we could follow a plan that way. Okay, that's my second probable scenario for Bitcoin. My third probable scenario for Bitcoin is the mid-range between the range high and the 75%. Now, we know that the range high, where did I get it from? I got it from that consolidation that capped the market. We have been messing around in this area for a while now, arguably creating our own consolidation above. Okay? So if we was to do something like this, if we was to break below 22,500 and do something like this, we could play it back to 23,000. We could play it back from 23,000 to 24,000, and then we'd pause and we'd see what happens. Anything above 24,000, I'm sure I'll have another live stream by then, and or I'll update in the Telegram. In the meantime, I need to see what this 24,000 level is doing, because it's proving to be very strong resistance. Notice how every time we tap it, it's sending the market down quite aggressively. It's not rejecting off it. It's sending the market down. So it's rejecting and it's really going lower. Okay. Now, this is the other plan I have for Bitcoin, where 22,500, you can see here, we've got resistance here, we've got the consolidation here, we've got support here, we've got resistance here. That's why I've marked this level out. It is the mid-range between 23,000 and 21,600. It pretty much is the mid-range. Now, the beautiful thing is, and especially if you're watching shows like Dank Show, is what he'll do is he'll break these little levels. So I like to work in the bigger levels. What he'll do is he'll take 24,000 to 23,000 and mark out a range in between these levels. And then he'll take 23,000 and 21,600 and mark out a range between those levels. And he'll play it block to block. Okay. And that's how he trades. That's completely cool. And that's a great way to trade. But if you're new to the market, I would highly advise that you just first learn the higher time frame trading first. Like, learn what it means to have a macro level and watch reactions and plans off macro levels. Once you have those macro levels sorted and you can understand reactions of those macro levels, you can start planning trades better. So again, I'll give you an example. If we look at this chart that I've got here now, right? In hindsight, if this played out in hindsight, it would look really, really easy. You know what I mean? Hafuel, great to see you. I just want to shout out a few more people. So Hassan Maki, great to see you, my brother. Really love that you're joining the shows every day. Hafuel, it's super great to see you, my bro. Always good to see you. Hafuel is an OG on the show. I met him on the show when I started streaming. He's joined pretty much every show. One of the biggest supporters. Definitely show Hafuel some love. Marius, my friend, it's really good to see you. Marius with a comment here that says, family gives us 777. If you think we are in a downtrend, or a 999 if you think we are in an uptrend. I'm not sure what you mean there, brother. I'm not sure what you mean there, but we're going to have to move on. KAR says, when you say buyer, do you mean spot buy? Yes, spot buy. So when you're looking at buying with leverage, the plans need to be a bit more intricate. Okay, your invalidation it needs to be as clean as possible. Okay, so even if I'm buying with spot, whether I'm buying with spot or whether I'm buying with leverage, it really doesn't matter. What matters is how you manage your risk. Okay, so let's say KAR. Okay, I'll direct this to you, and I'll direct this to everybody else as well. The importance of your invalidation. Yeah, thank you, Stephen, for telling me the stream is still up. That's why I've just come to check the comments now. So just to quickly answer KAR's question. When we're talking about invalidation is where you are completely wrong on the idea. So what I like to do is I like to take a bigger chart. Okay, I take a bigger chart and I say, all right, if I'm going to go long, where would my stop loss be? If I'm going to go short, where would my stop loss be? Okay, now what you're doing when you're doing technical analysis is you're refining that stop loss each time. Okay, every time you look for a deviation, you're refining your invalidation. Every time you're looking for a break above and a break below, you're refining your invalidation. And why is your invalidation so important? It's because that's where you define your risk. So for instance, on the chart that you can see here, let's say for instance, you've decided you want to put your stop loss below that blue box. Okay, you put your stop loss below that blue box and you've said to yourself, when I get stopped out, if I'm wrong on the idea and I get stopped out below this blue box, I want to lose exactly and only this much. So you have $1,000 in your account, okay? And you say, I want to lose $100 only if I get stopped out. It doesn't matter where my stop is. I just want to lose $100 if I get stopped out. So what happens is when you're on the exchanges and when you're configuring your trading, so like, for instance, when you want to get your buy position or short position, when you're configuring your trading, there will be an area that says, what do you want your stop to be? You configure your stop and then you configure your position size to match the exact amount of money you're willing to lose. Okay. And suddenly each R will be what you're willing to lose. So for instance, maybe if I get stopped out below the blue box, I lose $100, which means that every time price goes up by the same amount of pips that it went down by, I will make $100. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you guys. But it's a very, very difficult subject to understand. I know that you have to study a little bit of trading in order to understand stop losses and how it works. You know what? Funnily enough, guys, we're at 22,500 now. Let's have a look. We're at 22,500 now. So let's see what Bitcoin is going to do. Let's see what Bitcoin is going to do. All right. Are we going to break towards 22,000? Are we going to break below and see what happens? It's yet to be seen. It's yet to be seen. But really and truly, for me, the magnet here is 22K, 22,200 to be precise. Okay. And if we break above 22,919, that's when I'll start getting confident. All right. In the meantime, we have to take into consideration that the two deviations that we've got here, that's not good. That's really bad. Okay. We had that before. We had one here and then we had one here. What did price do to respond? Price sold off completely into the range low. So we have to take into consideration. All we can do for the time being is mark out our plans. And if our plans unfold, then great, because we have an entry, we have an invalidation, we have an exit. And if our plans don't unfold, we have to step back. Okay. Sometimes, and I've been there before as well, sometimes it is the case that maybe your plan doesn't go exactly how you want it and you start FOMOing in, whether it's a long or whether it's a short. Okay, maybe you'll go into the 15-minute time frame or the 5-minute time frame and suddenly you're seeing different patterns. Well, this was clearly a short. This was obviously a range bound play. Oh no, I've got to short this. I've got to long this. But until you've got your major plan, until you've got your full-on plan where you know exactly what to do, you've got a scenario for every single situation. If price does this, I'm going to do that. And if price does this, I'm going to do that. If I get stopped out, I'm going to reassess here. This is where I'd be looking to see if we can find support. Maybe I'd be flipping short. If I want to flip short, these are the plans that I've got. Okay. Now, if we wanted to flip short, which I wouldn't really want to do here, I'm not looking for shorts at the moment. I'll start looking for shorts underneath 21,600. Below this level here is where I'm going to flip my bias and I'm going to start looking for shorts. Unless, of course, we're in a range. Unless we're in a range from here to here, which I don't think we are. But if we are, right, then I'll have plans for that too. Really and truly, guys, one thing that I want you guys to understand, and the most important thing I want you guys to understand, is you don't have to trade every single 10 minutes. Okay, you don't have to trade every single day. You don't have to trade every 2 hours, every 3 hours. Sometimes I trade twice in a week. Sometimes I trade once in a week. Sometimes I trade maybe 3 times in a week. Okay, and in the bull market, of course, we'll probably trade maybe 3-4 times, maybe 5 times a week. Okay, sometimes you can find the range and you can trade inside of that range nonstop. Okay, so we're not in a bull market at the moment. We are in a bear market, and this is what we define as a bear market rally. If this is a bear market rally, then no problem, but we have to trade accordingly. We have to make sure we follow our plans. Our plans is what's super important. We can't deviate from that. So, moving on, let's talk about SPX, all right? So SPX. So what happened with SPX? So now this is the thing that we need to understand with the S&P, right? With the S&P, if we look, we've got a range here for the S&P. Okay, a range that has been pretty much respected. We knew that yesterday we were at resistance, but we weren't quite at the resistance. We didn't quite tap the level yet. Now, the interesting thing about the SPX is price did this, okay? Price pushed up 5%. And on the S&P, 5%, that's not small. That's very big for the S&P. For the leverage traders who are longing this from this range level of 3946 to around 4160, they've made around nearly 200 handles. Okay, that's a very, very big trade. Now, if the S&P and Bitcoin are so correlated, then why didn't Bitcoin follow suit? Okay, Bitcoin didn't exactly follow. Now, the two ways to look at it would be Bitcoin is either lagging behind the SPX or it's maybe weak. That's one way of looking at it. But the only way to identify whether or not it's weak is by this price action here. Okay, so now the S&P broke down and it didn't break down by much. If we look at the 5% move that we had on the way up, Bitcoin didn't do much. However, we had a 0.8% move to the downside and Bitcoin started breaking down aggressively. which makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if Bitcoin is supposed to follow the S&P and the S&P is going up, but Bitcoin is not following suit. And then the S&P breaks down just a fraction and Bitcoin starts dropping aggressively. It makes me start wondering, maybe there's something in the market that we're missing. Maybe there's something in the market that we're not looking at, that we're not paying attention to, which is going to take many of the longers, many of the buyers by surprise. Okay, so we need to take that into consideration. Now, at the beginning of the episode, I did mention, I said I had cut my positions. Okay, I'm waiting. I'm being patient. I'm looking for a buy. I'm looking for a sell. I'm not looking for a short at the moment. I'm looking for a buy. But where's that going to happen? Because look, I want to make sure that I'm making money. I can have 10 trade plans. It doesn't matter whether they work out or not. What matters is at the end of it is, am I going to still have lunch the next day? You know what I'm saying? I need to make sure, so do you, that we're making money, that we're growing our accounts, so that when the bull market comes, we have money to play with. All right? Now, this is interesting. It makes me wonder. Let's say, for instance, the S&P does something like this. Let's say, for instance, right, the S&P is to break below this level, holds below, and goes down here. Okay? Maybe it ranges for a little bit, and then it breaks below, and then we start going lower. Now, this move here is on the hourly time frame, and it's not as big as the move up was. But it makes me wonder, if Bitcoin is breaking down this much just off this little move here, what's going to happen if we break below this range? What's going to happen if we start breaking below? You know, I don't think it's going to be good for Bitcoin. Now, Exo tweeted yesterday, and Exo said something very important. Exo said a majority of these altcoins, they don't have enough liquidity. Okay, and a big massive shout out to Exo. He's always seeing things that other people aren't seeing. You know, that's his gift, right? Now, if Bitcoin is to break down in the fashion that Bitcoin is breaking down, based off a small move off the SPX, it makes me wonder, if we get a move like this now, where it's another 1-2%, we're probably going to eventually tap that 21,600 level. And if we do, we need to then reassess from there. Are we going to be looking for bullish price action? Are we going to be looking for a range bound play? Are we looking for a breakdown below and short? We are yet to see. Okay. I know we haven't traded in a few days. I know that. But in order for us to trade, it has to follow our plan. And that is essentially what trading is. Trading is boring. Trading is following a plan and sitting down and waiting for it. You sit there with your vape and you see, does it follow the plan? If it doesn't follow the plan, we go again. Next plan, does it follow the plan? Yes? All right, great. Okay, no? Fine. We have to move on. We follow the next plan. Okay? And then the idea is, you keep making these plans until eventually you start reading the market in a much better way. Okay, you start reading the plans in a better way. Your plans start becoming higher probability. Maybe you make a couple of plans, and out of the 3-4 plans that you make, you say to yourself, well, hang on a second, I've seen those before. I know these are probably going to be low probability, but I've seen this before happen here. And if I've seen this before happen here, maybe this might have higher probability as to what's going to happen next. And suddenly you find yourself trading 1, 2, 3 times a week, and your plans are profitable. You're making money. And that's why people say it takes a couple years to really get in the hand of trading. It's not difficult to learn support and resistance. It's not difficult to learn ranges. It's difficult to understand how they behave. Okay, but you guys will all make it. You guys will all make it, especially this guy here. This guy is working hard. So this guy here, KAR Crypto, I notice you, mate. I'm noticing you. I can see you're working hard. Put another year in, and your voice will be heard, my bro. Your voice will be heard. So he says it here. He says SP 500 down almost 1%, and BTC craps the bed. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what's happened. And we need to start paying attention to that, because if BTC is going to show weakness from a move from the SPX like that, a small move, then we need to step back. We need to step back and reassess and wait. So for the time being, to summarize my thoughts, my final thoughts on Bitcoin here, what are we doing in the market? I think that we need to pull back and we need to wait. Okay? A plan will unfold. A plan will become clearer. Okay? It will become clearer, and we will do something. Again, look, Jam says it here as well. It's front running SPX. It's not manipulation. It's not anything that's like, it's not conspiracy or anything like that. Essentially, the buyers that have stepped in for the S&P aren't the same buyers that have stepped in for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is going up as a result of the S&P going up. If the S&P starts moving down by a very small portion, then Bitcoin is going to resume doing what it was doing before, which is selling off. And it's going to sell off more aggressively because it wasn't meant to go up in the first place. Okay? I hope you guys understand that. I hope you guys understand that. So moving on, if we're going to look at the dollar, let's have a quick look at the dollar, all right? Just to see what the dollar is doing, because we know that Bitcoin to some degree is kind of the inverse of the dollar. So again, yesterday I said we were at resistance. I mentioned this yesterday on this stream, and I said, look, listen, I'm not just buying support for the sake of buying support. I'm buying support for a reason. Okay. Now with the dollar, I mentioned yesterday that we had tapped a key range level for me. Okay, maybe others see the charts differently. I see the charts differently. In the end, we're all trying to do the same thing. You know, we're all trying to understand the game so that we can make money. So I said, look, we broke. This is my range for the dollar. Okay, this is my range high. This is my range low. As you can see, we've got this is the 25% is the mid range between mid range and the range low, and you can see the volatility here between this mid range. Okay, look how quickly price reacts off these range levels. We know if price ever comes here, we'll know we'll probably buy some just for the sake of a reaction. Even if price is going to go lower, we'll get some sort of a reaction. It's a fair trade to take. Okay. At the same time, we've got the mid-range, between the range high and the range low, and we've got the same sort of volatility there. It's always a good buy and always a good sell. All right. Now, interestingly enough, we have got resistance right here, don't we? Okay. This was the consolidation that pushed the market lower, and when we finally retested this high here at 108, 109, we sold off, and we sold off bigly. Okay. We didn't just sell off into the next range level. We sold off into the range low. We have to take that resistance pretty seriously. Is that fair to say? Just based off what you guys are seeing, is that fair to say? Now, interestingly enough, a lot of people were calling for $1.14 for the dollar, 114 for the Dixie. And I said, well, we've just tapped resistance. I can't argue. I don't think we should be longing straight away. We've just tapped resistance and we've clearly rejected off it. So where do we start getting confident in the dollar? Yesterday, I marked this box out on the stream and I said, from the weekly time frame, I get it. If price starts going up from here in the next 2 weeks, I get it. In hindsight, it looks fine. At the same time, if we start looking into the lower time frames, we can start formulating a plan for the dollar and we can use that to help confluence Bitcoin. Okay? So if this blue box here is the price action that I'm paying attention to, then I'm noticing some highs here that's already giving me some interest. So I've got this high here. This was the initial high that was formed. We've got that one there. Okay. And then we've got this one here as well. I think I need to move this one a little bit higher. There. I can even leave it like that. Okay. Now with the dollar, where do I want to get confident with the dollar? I'll get confident with the dollar. The current price of the dollar is 106 basically. Okay, a round figure, 106. And I'll get confident shorting the dollar below 103.6. Once we get back below 103.6, that's when I can say, you know what, Bitcoin might really be at support here. And Bitcoin might be in a position where support may actually work. So we have one target here. Okay, so from around 105, if we start breaking down, we've got one target here to 103.6. And if we break down the 103.6, I'd be looking for the bottom of the blue box here. And even then, guys, we are still in an uptrend. Okay, we've broken the trend line. We're still in an uptrend. Maybe we can come back here. Maybe we can do something like this. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what happens after that. I don't know. No one knows. We'll see what happens then. But this blue box here is what I'm paying attention to for Bitcoin in the short term, for the S&P in the short term. This is what has me sort of worried. This is what's got me thinking. Now we've tapped resistance. That's one. Let's see if we can get the breakdown scenario. Or maybe, just maybe, the dollar takes out this high. It holds here. We can ride it to here. That would be shorting Bitcoin. And at the same time, that would look too bullish. That would look way too bullish, So then we'd probably see something like this, and then everybody will get the $1.14 level they were looking for. And again, it does follow price. Does everybody understand where I stand with Bitcoin, with SPX, and the dollar? Does everybody understand? I'm just going to wait for a few comments to come in, and then we'll move on. We'll crack on. Cheers, KAR. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your lovely comment. Really, really appreciate that. And Legendary Gaming Channel says, just lost a lot. I'm really sorry to hear that, mate. I'm really sorry to hear that. That's why we make our plans, you know? Don't beat yourself up if you've lost quite a bit. We said yesterday on the stream, and I'll repeat it once again. Guys, it really is okay to be wrong. Okay? When you're trading, you're going to take losses. You're going to take losses, and it's not a big deal. Okay? I took so many losses from 2018 all the way to sort of 2020. I took loads and loads of losses. All right? And I survived. I recovered from it. And there was another opportunity. There was another period of time when we had a bull market. So, and that made us a lot of money, didn't it? Okay. So don't beat yourself up if you're losing. Just think of it as university. Okay. When you're going to university, you have to pay X amount a year for your tuition. You have to pay X amount of a year for your studies. Trading is kind of like that. You're paying your uni fees in a way that's a little bit controversial, a little bit different to what you're usually paying. But don't give up, okay? Don't give up. Keep going, keep planning your plans. And my advice to you, my main advice to you is if you lost a lot just now, prove it to yourself. Make 3 paper trades. Prove to yourself that you're nailing these trades, and then maybe go in with a smaller size. And the last thing I would say on that, my bro, is one sort of poison that comes in the mind is, let's say, for instance, you have $1,000 account, right? And maybe you take a trade, you've risked maybe half the account, and you blow $500 in that account. Okay. And you're thinking to yourself, crap, I had $1,000 and now I've only got $500 left. What do I do? There is a thing called revenge trading where you need to trade. You must find a trade to get back to $1,000 before you can start even being happy or sad about any other trades. Okay. Now, one thing I would advise is try not to revenge trade. Revenge trading is the fastest way to really lose all your money. Okay. I've done it before in the past. I've lost a lot of money through revenge trading. Okay. All I would say is take your time, take a step back. If you haven't seen yesterday's stream, watch yesterday's stream. I was a little bit ranty on yesterday's stream, I agree. But sometimes I rant because I care about you guys. I rant because you guys are my community. You guys tune into my shows every day. I really care about you guys making it. I want to see you guys make it. I want to see Jorian in a Lambo. I want to see Cryptique killing it with his trades. I want to see all you guys become better than me. Maybe I can join your streams. Maybe I can follow you guys on Twitter. Maybe I can see what you guys have as trade plans. I get it. You guys are learning. I totally get it. And one day, maybe there'll be 10 times the people here, and I'll care about those guys too. But ultimately, we have to follow our plans. Okay? We have to follow our plans. And Hafuel and Timothy are saying it here in the chat. Engage with the chat, guys. Engage with each other in the chat. You guys will go a long way if you do. Making friends in crypto is the key. Okay. So that is pretty much the TA segment done. We've spoken about Bitcoin, we've spoken about the S&P, and we've spoken about the dollar. I mentioned that I cut my positions from yesterday in a very tiny profit. I mentioned that Bitcoin is showing a lot of weakness against the S&P. I mentioned that Bitcoin has a few key support levels that we need to pay attention to in order to get long and in order to pay attention for the short. At the same time, we've broken down the dollar. We've taken a segment of the dollar to try and understand what we want price to see. Okay, so that is my segment on Bitcoin. Now, we have to talk a bit about the news. Okay, we have to talk about what's going on in the market. So the first thing that's going on in the market here is Microstrategy announces the separation of chairman and CEO roles of second quarter 2022 financial results. Michael Saylor to assume the role of executive chairman. So he's stepping down as the CEO. Fong Li is going to be the new CEO of MicroStrategy. Now, we need to understand why that's important to us and how that affects our day-to-day trading. Okay? When I bring news to this channel, right? I'm not bringing news that is just to get views and likes and I want you guys to subscribe. I'm bringing news to you that has a lot of research put behind it. Okay? This is news that will affect us and I'll explain why. Let me take a sip of water and I'm going to explain why. Microstrategy is a firm. They're a firm that have a lot of money. Okay. So if you're the CEO of this firm, it means that you've got a lot of punch behind your belt. Okay. You've got a big thingy. You got a big banana. All right. It's just the truth. You do. Now, Michael Saylor, who was the CEO of MicroStrategy, he is a big believer of Bitcoin. Some would argue that he's even up to the point of a Bitcoin maximalist, okay? Not quite like Lynn Alden, but, to a degree. He puts his money where his mouth is, okay? Now, MicroStrategy losing Michael Saylor as a CEO starts to make us wonder, okay, if Michael Saylor and Elon Musk were some of the biggest guys that supported Bitcoin in the last cycle, if these guys were some of the people that helped buy Bitcoin, helped push Bitcoin up, believed in Bitcoin, then if Michael Saylor is going to step down from this role, does that mean that the new CEO, Fong Li, will see Bitcoin in the same fashion? And let's say he does. If he does, then maybe they'll hold their Bitcoin positions. If he doesn't, what's going to happen if he decides he wants to start selling those positions? Now, Michael Saylor holds a lot of Bitcoin, right? Enough Bitcoin. In fact, it's not Michael Saylor, it's MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy, they hold a lot of Bitcoin. If they were to decide that they would want to start selling some of their portions of Bitcoin, even if it was up to 10, 20%, that would move the market. Okay, that would move the market quite aggressively. So Michael Saylor stepping down from this position, again, it means that we need to step back and reassess. Okay, because this game is not just technical analysis. This game has a lot of fundamentals behind it. In fact, I would argue that fundamental analysis in crypto is even more prominent than technical analysis. I would argue that. I could sit here for an hour and argue that. Okay, because 1 week of a bull market can change your life, whereas 6 months of a bear market might keep you in the same position, if not more broke. Something to think about. Now, for me personally, seeing this news, it makes me a bit nervous. I have to admit, it makes me a bit nervous. At the same time, when I say nervous, we know if we look at the log chart of Bitcoin, there is a chart of Bitcoin that we have where, God, what is this? Oh, I deleted it. I deleted it. Here. So there is a trend line for Bitcoin. There is a, is it here? Hold on. No, that's the mid-range. Okay, I'm going to need to recreate this chart. I'll recreate it in my own time. I'm on a stream right now. That's the reason I can't. But we know anyway, just quickly looking back at this chart, we know that price needs to go a little bit lower. We know that there's room for lower prices in terms of the bottom for the bear market. Okay. If we look at the bear market bottoms have always been like that. Okay. The bear market bottom here was very sideways, very boring. The bear market bottom here was very sideways and very boring. Okay. And the bear market bottom here is going to need to give us the same thing. Okay. It's going to need to give us the same thing. So when I see bearish news in terms of, Michael Saylor stepping down, maybe Elon Musk is selling some shares, maybe other people are stepping out of the market, it's okay for me, because if price goes lower, then the way that I understand it is that we are one step closer to the bottom of Bitcoin. News like this would have been way more prevalent back in maybe 2014, 2013, because Bitcoin was so young, but now it's going to have less of an impact. And look, I'm saying this publicly on my own platform. I'm saying I really believe a bull market is coming. I do believe that a bull market is coming, and there's going to be so much madness in that bull market. Every single year that a bull market, every single cycle where a bull market comes, more money enters the market. There are more market participants. There are more projects being built, and we see the overall growth of crypto. So when I see news like this, in the long term, I don't really think that it's going to affect Bitcoin in any way, shape, or form. I don't think it's going to affect me and you. I think that we're still going to make good money off Bitcoin and altcoins in the future. I think this is going to be a blip in time. In the short term, we need to be careful, because if Microstrategy come out as a firm and they decide to say we're going to sell 30% of our Bitcoin, the previous CEO, Michael Saylor, he believes that Bitcoin was going to be X, Y, and Z, but the new CEO doesn't think that. And we've decided that we're going to take a step back and maybe reduce our positions on Bitcoin, reduce our risk on it. We'll keep some exposure, but we're going to reduce our risk. That's going to affect us in the short term. And could that be what leads us to the lows? We'll find out. Okay. Moving along. This is major news as well. Okay. So I don't know if you guys know this, but the Ethereum merge looks like it's going to be delayed again. And surprise, surprise, right? Surprise, surprise. We have so many tokens pumping off the back of the Ethereum merge. We know that Ethereum hit major resistance due to the fact that the merge was coming. We were all very excited for the merge. However, it appears that once again, due to a DDoS situation, for those of you who don't know, a DDoS is a denial, it's a denial of service. I don't know what the first D stands for, but it's a denial of service. So the way it works is, let's say, for instance, you have a machine, okay? Imagine this is a computer, okay? And on this computer, I have www.thenjshow.com, all right? Or, in fact, to make it a clearer example, www.ethereummerge.com. This is the computer that holds Ethereum merge, okay? Now, this computer, it handles requests. Requests go into it and requests come out of it. All right? Now, this server or this machine or this cluster of nodes is what's going to support my Ethereum merge. I need this to be operational and active, and I need it to not have any downtime or any situations with it in order for my Ethereum merge to work. Now, what happens is, this is going to have an address, and this is going to have it's going to live somewhere. Okay. And what happens is, hackers, what they tend to do is, when they can't hack into a system, they DDoS the platform. So what they do is they say, I know where the Ethereum merge lives. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bombard it with requests, and I'm going to bombard it with bots and requests from all over the world, to a point where this machine is going to overheat physically, and it's going to bring down all the systems and all the services. And when it does that, that's when we have to send engineers on site now to go and look at the physical unit to make sure no chips have been fried. We have to make sure that we understand, why did this DDoS happen? How did they find us? How did they manage to attack us? Why did our firewalls not give us any sort of protection? How did they break through? Okay. And that is kind of what causes these delays. So as it stands, it looks like the Ethereum merge is going to be delayed based on the fact that we have a DDoS. And Juan says it here. Thank you for your help, Juan. Distributed denial of service. And Jam says it here, directed denial of service. And we've got some cool comments here. You know, we've got, what's Joel saying here? Everybody's agreeing with Joel. Mate, losses are part of it. When you trade your own money, you pay to learn. Emotions are the hardest thing to control. Know your risk to reward and own every trade you win or lose. Well done, man. Well done. You guys are growing. You guys are really growing. I'm really proud of all of you guys. Moving on to the next piece. So let's just wrap up with this very quickly before we move on. The Ethereum merge being delayed is very bearish for me, because Ethereum tapped that $1,700 level. That $1,700 level, we've covered it on this channel. We know the importance of that level. We know how crucial and critical that level is. We needed news to push us away from that level. But with this kind of news now, to say that we're going to postpone it, And on top of that, with MicroStrategy saying we're losing our Bitcoin maximalist from this firm and we're putting in somebody else who we don't really know. We haven't got a relationship with this guy, you know? Suddenly, I'm starting to wonder if we are at resistance now. And suddenly, I'm starting to wonder if this bear market rally is over. I'm not saying it is the case. I'm just saying that based on what we have at the moment, you know? Yesterday, we were at support. Yesterday, it was so easy. We had so many reasons. And within the space of a day, we're getting new news that's coming out that's really impacting us. 18 hours ago is when this news came out to say the Ethereum merge may be postponed. This is crazy, crazy news. We're going to have to step back. We're going to have to hold our positions and we're going to have to be spectators for the time being. Okay? If you spectate, you can't lose money. If you spectate, sure, you're not going to make any money, but you'll protect yourself from very, very difficult situations. And this kind of news that we have here is unexpected news. It kind of just comes out when it wants to come out. You can't really predict it. Okay? So that's that. So that's something you need to take into consideration. All right. If you haven't already, like the video and subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 3,000 subscribers. It's taking a hell of a long time to get there, but we are working slowly towards it. Most of the viewers that watch this show, around 52% of people who watch the NJ show, they're not subscribed. If you're learning something, if you're enjoying the content, or do you know what? If you're enjoying the community, the community that we have on this show is a really cool community. Everybody discusses things with each other. We all agree and disagree. We make opinions. We debate with each other. If you're even enjoying the community, hit the sub button. You won't regret it, Moving along, we see that Japan may see a reduced 20% tax on crypto earnings with a new proposal. So this is bullish news. Is it bullish enough to help us out in the market? I don't think so, but it's something that we all need to pay to because we do have a massive crypto community in Japan. Okay. And a lot of people, in the last cycle, what a lot of people struggled with in the last bull market was a lot of people made so much money, but they didn't know what to do with it. When you're in the US, when you're in the UK, when you're in India, perhaps, maybe you're in another big country, it's difficult to access your money. It's easy to get rich off crypto, but then once in a bull market, not a bear market, but it's easy to get rich off crypto in a bull market. But then once you're in that bull market and you've got the money, then what do you do with it? How do you get it out of the system? So seeing a country like Japan reduce their taxes on crypto, it's a bullish sign. It makes me wonder if Japan is preparing themselves for something crypto related. So we know that Dubai wants to be the hub of crypto. Okay. And a lot of your favorite people on Twitter, what they did was they moved over to Dubai. I myself being one of them. Being in Dubai is really, really good for crypto. It's a great area in terms of the laws and the regulations for crypto, but I know that they're edging and gearing towards becoming that crypto city, And it's a beautiful thing when you look at it. Now, if we're going to start getting the same thing happening in Japan, I'll be really honest with you, I would take advantage of that. I would love to go to Japan. I love the culture of Japan. I love Naruto. I love Dragon Ball Z. I'm 30 years old, but I'm still obsessed with those things, So if there was a way for us to take Web3, to take NFTs, to take DeFi and take crypto as a whole towards Japan and build in Japan and live in Japan and work in Japan, I'd love to go and see that with my own eyes. So again, it's something that you guys need to pay attention to. It's something that will impact your trading in the longer term, okay? Because it will help you identify what you can do with your money. One thing I'll say to you guys very quickly is, I've got a lot of people in the chat here who are ready. You guys are ready to make some serious money in crypto. You guys are super ready to make some full-on serious money in crypto. But, if you make a milli overnight, as mature as you might be, as good as you might be, you might not actually know what to do with that milli. Okay? You might not know what to do with it. It gets very scary when you make your first milli, first 2 mil, first 3 mil. It gets very scary because you start wondering, how do I save this money? How do I protect this money? How do I invest this money? It's not the same as when you have $1,000, $2,000 account, So again, seeing this news for Japan, I'm very bullish on that. And again, massive, massive, massive news that I need you guys to pay attention to. Obviously, right now, it's not the time to be covering NFTs. It's not the time to be covering altcoins. It's not the time to be, really, really going full throttle in the market. But however, I've been mentioning it on this show over the last couple of months that people are preparing. There are entities out there that are preparing for the next bull market because we are not that far away from the low. Okay. And once we tap the lows, We will consolidate. It will take a little while. And once we consolidate and once that little while is done, we will be in a position where we can start looking at the next bull market. And people are preparing. People are preparing in a way that they've never prepared before, including myself, including you who's listening today. Okay? I know that you guys weren't doing this in 2018. I wasn't doing this in 2015. These guys weren't doing this in 2018, in 2015, but they're doing it now, in 2021, in 2022. They're preparing for the next cycle, which they know will be bigger than the last cycle. And in the next cycle, I do believe Bitcoin will hit $100,000. I really do believe that. And if we pay attention to this, NFTs.com has been bought for $15 million. Domainer and GoDaddy brokerage team finalized the purchase of NFTs.com, facilitated by escrow.com. Massive news. Massive news. If this was in the bull market, nobody would care. Everybody would think, well, crypto is taking over anyway. But these guys have done it in the bear market, which makes you wonder, what will NFTs play? What role will they play in the next cycle? Okay, that's my little segment on that. I just wanted to cover it. There's two more pieces I want to cover and then I'm going to shoot. All right. One is crypto exchange ZB.com loses 4.8 million after halting client withdrawals. So look, we're seeing more of this now. We're seeing more of this. We're at the stage in the market now where I think I covered this on the show a few weeks ago, where I mentioned that a majority of exchanges are going offline. A majority of exchanges are losing because they can't handle the bear market and what the bear market is doing. This, again, we're going to see more of this, okay? All of this is a build-up towards the low. We are getting closer and closer to the lows. I mean it. I really think we are, okay? So stay in touch with that. Stay in tune with that. And a final piece I want to say here is crypto VC firm Hashed confirms losing more than $3 billion in the Luna crash. Now, you know what? Hashed, I feel sorry for them. I feel bad for them. I have respect for them. It is what it is. But this is kind of good for us. You know, this is good. 3 billion is one big ticket. Okay. And as the more money that leaves the crypto space, the more participants that leave the crypto space, the more money there'll be for us when we decide to exit the bear market. Okay. So keep it into consideration that the lower the number of participants we have, the lower the number of players that we have, the more money that we leave, the more money that we see leaving crypto, the more it's going to help us get to a position where we can finally start looking at exiting this bear market. Now, I'm going to have to leave you guys with that. I'm going to have to shoot. I know that typically we do 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And I know yesterday was a bit of a quick stream as well. I really am sorry. I am in Canada at the moment and I am here on, I wouldn't say business, I would say personal, very, very personal reasons. And because of that, the times are really messy. Okay. I know that I'm letting you guys down a little bit. I definitely know that. And I genuinely am sorry. But what I can say is next Friday, I'm flying back to the UK. Okay. I'm flying back to the UK. I'm going to have a weekend to rest and recover from jet lag. And from that Monday, after I fly back next Friday, we'll make sure we get back to our 2.5 hour streams. We'll be covering more TA, more news. I'll be answering more questions. In order to help me, just please make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, I want to see us get to 3K subscribers. And if you haven't already, like the video, okay? For those of you who are joining on such short notice, thank you very much. I have given you no notice. I say I'm going live in 5 minutes and then you guys turn up. Thank you very much for my OGs on this show. We are really, really building something unique here. This NJ show is turning into the NJ community. All right. I'll see you guys soon. Take care of yourselves. Maybe I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. I don't know what time it will be, but I'll definitely I'll update you guys in the Telegram channel. So make sure you're following the Telegram channel because it's in the link in the description below. I updated to say I'm going live in X amount of minutes or whatever, and you guys will have some sort of leeway, some sort of notice period to get on board. All right. Take care, everyone. All the best, and I will see you guys tomorrow, I hope. Cheers.